resilience in there with the preparation. Like, look, it's going to be a 50-round fight. There's going to be ups and downs, and you got to be prepared for that.
From an evaluation standpoint, is there something on the recruiting trail that you look for to determine whether you think a player is going to be able to handle everything that comes with being a first-year player ready to go from year one without overwhelming them potentially?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. And we've actually spent some time, we're trying to develop right now a set of things that revolve around that, in terms of, and for me, it's not necessarily about whether they're going to be able to play as a rookie. It's more about, are they going to stick? Because I think player retention is a really important part of today's world, right? You got to get it right on the front end, or you're just going to have this never-ending cycle of turnover that's hard to deal with, right? So you like to get stability in the roster, and then you can spend time on other things, if that makes sense. So I think you're spot on. I think it's a big deal, but I think you kind of know, but sometimes we're wrong. The guys you thought weren't going to be ready to go are ready to go, and the ones you thought were ready won't be ready. So kind of sorts itself out. There's no doubt that some positions where maybe you have a need, if you can get them here in January, I think that's a huge advantage.
Time for a few more guys.
Bill, you were very complimentary of Montell after the game. Where have you seen him make the most growth since you were recruiting him at Louisiana?
I think Montell's one of those unique kids that just showed up and had it. He's very bright. He's very smart. He's very aware. And he was gifted. We wouldn't have got Montell Johnson at Louisiana if it wasn't for COVID, right? There's no doubt. If that evaluation process would have been like it is nowadays, he would have went somewhere else, right? So ultimately we found him. Nobody else found him. I think he was committed to Arizona at some point. We flipped him. And then he shows up. I can remember in my notes from the second scrimmage, he was wearing number 25. It was like 25 is a dude, So he's big, and certainly in a group of five, he was big. He's effective out there in our league. You imagine him in a group of five football. So he was freshman of the year in the conference, and it was a no-brainer. We needed a running back. It was a no-brainer to get him here. So people don't understand that Montell is a really good leader. He has the ability to affect other people. He's fun to be around too, and I think although he did drop the ball the other day, I think he catches it well. It's a good protector. I think he'll play at the next level. And he's a guy that you meet him, he's a guy you can be proud of in terms of how he represents the university, himself, the team, his family. He's a good kid.
He made a drop.
He did, yeah. And that's who he is.
Procedural issues on the road, the offensive line, and is that something that can get I know you pipe in crowd noise, or is there anything else you can do with regards to that?
Yeah, I think the thing that I would say is that, like, some weeks we've handled it really well, some weeks we haven't. We've went and played some of these places and not had those issues, so I think it's week to week. Ultimately, it's about during the week, making sure that we're doing all the things we can do to prevent those issues. But I don't want to make too big of a deal about it, because I think we've done it really well on the road at times. We haven't had those issues. So, but it is definitely part of our past, and we have to make sure that we're on top of our game so it isn't in the future.
Last question, guys.
Your first statement was about the metaphor of climbing the mountain, not done in one day. How far up the mountain do you think y'all are now, and how much farther?
Yeah, I think that there's some clouds, and I can't see the top of the mountain yet. That's what I would tell you. So, and look, we have to understand that it's easy to get about halfway up. It's easy to get about 3/4 of the way up. A lot of people do that. But the ability to kind of put your blinders on, the air gets thinner, right? Becomes more challenging, the terrain, the temperature. So, all these little small things that are happening right in front of us, those are the things that we have to focus on. You know, and ultimately, if you slip and fall, it's a long way back down to the bottom too, right? So, I just think that it's important to keep perspective here relative to what all goes into this challenge. You know, and I think that we have to keep that mindset. You know, rain, sleet, or snow, we have to keep building. Somebody's got to wake up and do the work every day. Okay, and we're going to be relentless in how we do that.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Right.